UCS Drama presents And Then There Were None, a radio play. Episode 3. Keep your friends close.
Runners.
Yes, what can we help with?
See if you can find out any more details about what's going on.
Like who took our audio, of course. We could get the sack for that.
Make sure that everything is in order.
Thank you.
We've got to double communications on this too.
Agreed.
Places.
Are we set?
All clear.
Rolling. Action!
The twists and turns. I can't figure it out. The suspense is killing me. We've had tweets flying in about the show so far. Many of them are unrepeatable, but positive. And now, let's head back to the house to find out more.
We've been up to the top. No sign of that boat yet.
How's the weather looking?
The wind was freshened a bit. Rather a mackerel sky. Old boy in the train yesterday said they were due for dirty weather. Shouldn't wonder if he was right.
I wish that boat would come. The sooner we get off this island, the better. It's absurd not keeping a boat on this island.
No proper harbour. If the wind comes on to blow from the southeast, a boat would get dashed to pieces against those rocks.
But a boat would always be able to get us from the mainland.
No, Mr. Brent. That's just what it wouldn't.
Do you mean we should be cut off from the land?
Yes. Condensed milk, Rivita, the tin stuff on the gale had blown itself out. But you needn't worry. The sea's only a bit choppy.
I think the pleasures of living on an island are rather overrated.
I wonder if that boat's coming. Annoying the way this house is built slap up against a cliff. You can't see the mainland until you've climbed to the top. Should we go up there again?
There's no good, Doctor. A watch pot never boils. There wasn't a sign of a boat putting out when we were here just now.
What can this man Narracott be doing?
They're all like that in Devon. Never hurry themselves.
And where's Rogers? He ought to be about.
If you ask me, Master Rogers was pretty badly rattled last night.
I know. Ghastly. The whole thing.
Got the wind up properly. I'd take even a bet that him and his brother were to do the old lady in.
You really think so?
Well, I never saw a man more scared. Guilty as hell, I should say.
Fantastic. The whole thing. Fantastic.
I say, suppose he hopped it.
Who? Rogers? But there isn't any way he could. There's no boat on this island. You've just said so.
Yes, I've been thinking about it. We've only Rogers' word for that. Suppose there is one, and he's nipped off in the first thing.
Oh, no. He wouldn't be allowed to leave the island.
Sleep well, General.
I dreamed. Yes, I dreamed.
I don't wonder at that.
I dreamed of Leslie. My wife, you know.
Oh, yes. I wish Narracott would come.
Who is Narracott?
The bloke who brought us over here yesterday afternoon.
Was it only yesterday?
Yes, I feel like that too. Batty gramophone records. It's all a man can stand. I shan't be sorry to see the back of Indian Island, I give you my word.
So you don't understand. How strange.
What's that?
I don't like the look of him.
I reckon young Marston's suicide must have been a pretty bad shock to him. He looks years older.
Where's that poor young fellow now?
In the study. Put him there myself.
But suicide?
What else could it be?
I don't know.
You know, I had a pretty funny feeling last night. This unknown Mr. Owen, suppose he's on the island. Rogers mayn't know. Or her may have been told to say so. Pretty nice thought, isn't it?
But would it have been possible for anyone to tamper with Marston's drink without our seeing him?
Well, it was standing up here.
But that...
Anyone could have slipped a dollop of cyanide in if they wanted to.
Oh, there you are, sir. I've been looking all over this place for you. Could you come up and have a look at my brother, sir?
Yes, of course. Is he feeling under the weather still?
He's...
You won't leave this island without me?
Yes, I think the sooner we can get in touch with the police, the better.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Lombard.
Good morning. Seem to have overslept myself. Boat here yet?
No.
Bit late, isn't it?
Yes.
Could have had a swim before breakfast. Too bad all this.
You must have had good nerves to sleep like that.
Nothing makes me lose my sleep. Did you dream of convicts on Dartmoor?
Look here, I don't think that's funny, Lombard.
Well, you started it. No. I'm hungry. What about breakfast?
The whole domestic staff seems to have gone on strike.
Oh well, we can always forage ourselves. Hello, Armstrong. What's the matter?
Mr. Rogers is dead.
No? How?
Died in his sleep. Rogers thought he was still under the influence of that sleeping draught I gave him and came down without disturbing him. He lit the kitchen fire and did this room. Then, as he had appeared, he went up, was alarmed by the look of him, and went hunting for me. He's been dead about 5 hours, I should say.
What has it? Heart?
Impossible to say. It may have been.
After all, he had a pretty bad shock last night.
Yes.
He might have been poisoned. Doctor?
It is perfectly possible.
With the same stuff as young Marston?
No, not cyanide. It would have been some narcotic or hypnotic. One of the barbiturates or chloral, something like that.
You gave him some of the sleeping stuff last night, didn't you, Doctor?
Yes, I gave him a mild dose of luminol.
Didn't give him too much, did you?
Certainly not. What do you mean?
All right. No offence, no offence. I just thought that perhaps if she'd had a weak heart...
The amount I gave him could not hurt anyone.
Then what exactly did happen?
Impossible to say without an autopsy.
If, for instance, this death had occurred in the case of one of your private patients, what would have been your procedure?
Without any previous knowledge of this man's state of health, I could certainly not give a certificate. His heart certainly failed to beat. But what caused it to fail?
Conscience.
What exactly do you mean, Mr. Brent?
You all heard. He was accused, together with his brother, of having deliberately murdered his former employer, an old lady.
And you believe that's true, Mr. Brent?
Certainly. You all saw him last night. He broke down completely and fainted. The shock of having his wickedness brought home to him was far too much for him. He literally died of fear.
It is a possible theory. One cannot adopt it without more exact knowledge of his state of health. If there was a latent cardiac weakness...
Call it, if you prefer, an act of God.
Oh no, Mr. Brent!
You all regard it as impossible that the sinner should be struck down by the wrath of God. I do not.
My dear man, in my experience of ill-doing, Providence leaves the work of conviction and chastisement to us mortals, and the process is often fraught with difficulties. There are no shortcuts.
Let's be practical. What did the man have to eat and drink last night before he went to bed?
Nothing.
Nothing? Nothing at all? Not a cup of tea or a glass of water? I'll bet he had a cup of tea. That sort always does.
Rogers assures me he had nothing whatsoever.
You might say so.
So that's your idea?
Well, why not? You heard that accusation last night. What if it's true? Brent thinks it is, for one. Rogers and his brother did that old lady in. They're feeling quite safe and happy about it.
Happy?
Well, there's no immediate danger to them. Then last night, some lunatic goes and spills the beans. What happens? The man cracks, goes to pieces. Did you, his brother, hanging around him when he came to, not at all bothered by solitude, not in your sweet life. He was a cat on hot bricks. And that's the position. They've done a murder and gotten away with it. But if it's all going to be ranked up again, it's his younger brother that will give the show away. He hasn't got the nerve to brazen it out. He's a living danger to his brother. That's what he is. And him? He's all right. He'll go lying until the cows come home. But he can't be sure of him. So what does he do? He drops a nice little dollop of something into a nice cup of tea. And when she's had it, he washes up the cup and saucer and tells the doctor he ain't had nothing. You'd be surprised, Mr. Claythorne, what some men would do.
Excuse me, sir. I'm getting on with breakfast. I'm not much of a hand as a cook, I'm afraid. It's lunch that's worrying me. Would cold tongue and galantine be satisfactory? And I could manage some fried potatoes, and then there's tinned fruit and cheese and biscuits.
Lunch? Lunch? We shan't be here for lunch. And where the hell's the boat coming?
Mr. Blore!
What?
You'll pardon me, sir, but the boat won't be coming.
What?
Fred Narracott has always been here before 8. Is there anything else you require, sir?
And it's not Rogers. His brother lying dead upstairs, and there he is cooking and calmly talking about lunch. Now he says the boat won't be coming. How the hell does he know?
Mr. Blore!
What?
The really significant thing is the failure of the boat to arrive. It means that we are being deliberately cut off from help.
Why do you think Narracott hasn't showed up?
I think the ubiquitous Mr. Owen has given orders.
You mean told him it's a practical joke? Something of that kind?
He'd never have fallen for that, would he?
Why not? Indian Island's got a reputation for people having crazy parties. It's just one more idea, that's all. Probably think it's all a huge joke. We can find the funny gentleman who staged this little joke, Mr. Unknown Owen. I'll bet you anything he's somewhere on this island, and the sooner we get hold of him and stop his little game, the better. Because in my opinion, he's as mad as Hatter, and as dangerous as a rattlesnake.
Hardly a very good simile, Lombard. The rattlesnake, at least, gives a warning of its approach.
A warning? Oh my god, yes! That's our warning. 10 little humans? There were 10 of us after Narracott went. Weren't there? 10 little humans going out to dine. One choked himself. Marston choked himself, didn't he? And then 9 little humans sat up very late. One overslept himself. That last part fits Mr. Rogers rather well, doesn't it?
No. No, it's impossible. It must be a coincidence.
Only 8 little humans here. I suppose that's a coincidence too. What do you think, Blore?
I don't like that.
But there's no body on the island.
I'm not sure of that.
This is terrible.
Don't you agree with me, Sir Lawrence?
Up to point, yes.
And the sooner we get to work, the better. Come on, Armstrong. Come on, Blore. We'll make short work of it.
I'm ready. Nobody's got a revolver by chance? I suppose that's too much to hope for.
I've got one.
Always carry it around with you?
Usually. I've been to some tight spots, you know.
Oh, well, you've probably never been in a tighter place than where you are today. If there is a homicidal maniac hiding on the island, he's probably got a whole arsenal on him. And he'll use it.
You may be wrong there, Blore. Many homicidal lunatics are very quiet, unassuming.
Disgusting fellows.
You'd never guess there was anything wrong with them.
If Mr. Owen turns out to be one of that kind, we'll leave him to you, Doctor. Now then, let's make a start. I suggest Mr. Lombard searches the house while we do the island.
Right. House ought to be easy. No sliding panels or secret doors.
Mind he doesn't get you before you get him.
Don't worry. But you two had better stick together. Remember, one got left behind.
Come on, Armstrong.
I'm frightened. Oh, I'm frightened.
All correct. No secret passages. One corpse.
Don't!
I say, do look low. How about a drink instead of nerves?
A drink? 2 corpses in the house at 9 o'clock in the morning, and all you have to say is, have a drink? An old man going quite crackers. Have a drink. 10 people accused of murder. That's all right. Just have a drink. Everything's fine so long as you have a drink.
All right. Stay thirsty.
Oh, you're nothing but a waster, an adventurer. You make me tired.
I say, you're a het up. What's the matter, mate?
I'm not your mate.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were.
Well, You can think again.
You know you don't really feel like that. We've got something in common, you and I. Rogues and murderers can't fall out.
Rogues and murderers?
Okay, you don't like the company of rogues and murderers, and you won't have a drink. I'll go finish searching.
Unpleasant young man. I can't find it anywhere. Is anything the matter?
I'm worried about Mackenzie. He really is ill, I think.
Looking out for the boat, are we? His sin has found him out.
Oh, don't!
One must face facts.
Can any of us afford to throw stones?
Even if his wife was no better than she should be, and she must have been a most depraved woman, he had no right to take judgment into his own hands.
What about Beatrice Taylor?
Eh?
That was the name, wasn't it?
Are you referring to that absurd accusation against myself?
Yes.
Now that we are alone, I have no objection to telling you the facts of the case. Indeed, I should like to hear them. It was not a fit subject to discuss before the other gentlemen, so naturally I refused to say anything last night. That girl, Beatrice Taylor, was in my service. I was very much deceived in her, to my despair. She had nice manners and was clean and willing, hard-working. I was very pleased with her. Of course, that was the sheerest hypocrisy. Disgusting. It was some time before I found out that she was what they call in trouble. It was great shock to me. Her parents were decent folk too, who had brought her up very strictly. I'm glad to say I didn't condone her behaviour.
What happened?
Naturally, I refused to keep her an hour under my roof. No one shall ever say I condoned immorality.
Did she drown herself?
Yes.
How old was she?
17.
Only 17.
Quite old enough to know how to behave. I told her what a low depraved thing she was. I told her she was beyond the pale and that no decent person would take her into their house. I told her that I felt soiled by ever having her under my roof.
You told a girl of 17 all that?
Yes, I'm quite glad to say I broke her down utterly.
Poor little devil.
I've not patience with this deluge towards sin.
And then, I suppose you turned her out of the house?
Of course.
And she didn't dare go home. What did you feel like when you found she drowned herself?
Feel like?
Yes. Didn't you blame yourself?
Certainly not. I had nothing to do with which to reproach myself.
I believe you really feel like that. That makes it even more horrible.
That man's unbalanced. The Lord is known by the judgment. He executes the wicked is snared at the work of his own hand.
Breakfast is ready.
The wicked shall be turned to hell. Be quiet.
Do you know where the other gentlemen are, sir? Breakfast is ready.
Sir Lawrence Wargrave is sitting out there in the sun. Dr. Armstrong and Mr. Blore are searching the island. I shouldn't bother about them.
Shall not the isle shake, and the sound of the fall when the wounded cry, when he slaughter is made in the midst of thee?
Shall we go in?
I don't feel like eating.
Breakfast is ready.
Then all the princes of the sea shall come down from their thrones, and lay the robes, and put off their broidered garments. They shall clothe themselves with trembling. They shall sit upon the ground, and I tremble at every moment, and be astonished at thee.
Reading aloud, Mr. Brent.
It is my custom to read a portion of the Bible every day.
Very good habit, I'm sure.
What luck did you have?
There's no cover on the island, no caves, no one could hide anywhere.
That's right. What about the house, Lombard?
No one. I'll stake my life there's no one in this house but ourselves. I've been over it from attic cellar.
Breakfast is getting cold.
Breakfast! Come on, Blore. You've been yelping for breakfast ever since you got up. Let's eat, drink and be merry. For tomorrow, we die. Or who knows, perhaps even today.
You might be ashamed of such liberty, Lombard.
Come on, we can't have this. Breakfast! I say so. Good God. What one got left behind? There's a knife in Mackenzie's back.
He's dead. He's dead.
But he can't be. Who could have done it? There's only us on the island.
Exactly, my dear sir. Don't you realize that this clever and cunning criminal is always comfortably one stage ahead of us? That he knows exactly what we're going to do next, and makes his plans accordingly. There's only one place, where a successful murderer could hide and have reasonable chance of getting away with it.
One place? Where?
Here in this room. Mr. Owen is one of us.